Welcome to What About PS, a Poland Syndrome podcast, where we talk about all things Poland Syndrome. The episodes that you can look forward to in this podcast speak about the male and female experience, motherhood and breastfeeding, general day-to-day living, health and fitness, and also including hand and chest affected people who have Poland Syndrome. If you have Poland Syndrome, or if you know of someone who has Poland Syndrome, then be sure to have a look out and listen to our latest episodes. Welcome back, everyone, to the PIP podcast. We actually haven't done a podcast episode in a while, so this is our first official episode back. So we're very, very excited to get this podcast rolling again. And I'm so excited to be sitting down with today's guest. We were chatting a little bit before we started recording, and I was just saying, her story has so many similarities to my story, and I'm sure it'll have so many similarities to everyone else's story, especially as a girl going, dealing with Poland syndrome. So I'm really, really excited to sit down and chat with her. She's 30 years old, originally from Istanbul, and I think has currently moved to Barcelona or busy moving to Barcelona, which is already such a big transition in life. And I think the most exciting thing is that, the most interesting thing is that she only really discovered Poland syndrome 6 months ago, or discovered that there was a term for it. So that is something that I think a lot of people will really relate to. So Hale, welcome. Thank you so much for joining, and I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Me too. And I just moved to Barcelona, and I'm really thankful for having me here, by the way. That's the
Well, first let's get into the Barcelona thing. How's that move been? Because moving in itself is already quite stressful, but then moving countries is, that on a whole other level. So how's that going? Is Barcelona everything you expected? Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, I'm feeling a mix of excitement and the natural exhaustion that comes with a big move. There's a lot of information to digest about the new job, the new city, the new home. But I enjoy the ride, actually. So let's see what's going to happen next year.
And do you speak Spanish, or does everyone speak English there, or how is that working?
Well, I just got some, classes to speak Spanish, but I don't feel confident enough to speak right now.
Yeah.
But in the city, most people can speak English. So I don't think no one just, pushed me towards speaking Spanish.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, so I'm Portuguese, but born and raised in South Africa. So my first language is English. And I always get so jealous of people in Europe because they're almost forced to be bilingual because they have like their native language. And then it's almost like you have to learn, English. I guess it's the same with you, right? So I think that's a really cool thing about people in Europe. But like you were saying, everyone speaks English. So that's going to be an exciting journey. Good luck for all of that.
Thank you.
So I want to start a little bit with, obviously this episode is all about your journey, learning that Poland syndrome had a name only 6 months ago. You're 30 years old, how that experience was, how growing up without really knowing what Poland syndrome was, how that experience was. And so I really want to take it back to the beginning, to the moment that ultimately changed everything, because I feel like this is one of the most powerful parts of your story. 6 months ago, you were just scrolling Instagram and happened to come across Becca, who's actually one of our PIP ambassadors. What happened at that moment? What was going through your mind when you saw someone that looked like you and you were like, oh my goodness, what is going on?
Definitely, it was a complete life-changing moment, actually. I saw Becca on my feed, and it was like looking into a physical mirror. She had a larger right breast and a small underdeveloped left side, like mine. And I just, click onto that picture or reels, and I check the profile. I try to understand what it is, if there's any explanation. I check the comments, even some of them were brutal, by the way, but some of them really supportive. There were even parents with some, concerns about their kids have Poland syndrome. So I just, answered some of the concerns there on comments. But I felt the relaxation and empathy and also empowerment, that because she's showing that it is really difficult. I'm trying to still hide it. And I feel the empowerment even.
Yeah, I think what's so amazing about Becca is, I had the privilege of meeting her in Birmingham about 2 years ago for a PIP activation. And I think what's so incredible about her is that she isn't afraid of hiding it. And not just that, she's actively putting herself out there on social media, which is difficult for anyone to do, let alone someone who's dealing with something like Poland syndrome. And I think, like you were saying, it is quite empowering for women to see her, especially I think when it comes to something like breasts. It's such a specific part of being a woman, I guess you could
Yeah.
say. And I know we'll get into that later on. But I think she does such a great job of showing, this is me. I love myself. Take it or leave it. I have nothing to hide. And that's hard. That's difficult to do in our personal lives, let alone on social media. So I'm so happy that you came across her. When you saw her, and like you said, it felt like looking in the mirror. What did that feel like? Because obviously you had gone 30 years, I'm assuming, never really having met anyone or seen anyone like you. So talk me through how those emotions and what was going through your head.
Well, for 30 years, I thought I had a medical anomaly or I'm a unicorn feeling. I felt like I'm the only one. Whenever I mention this, people say breasts are asymmetrical all the time, and they don't try to understand me. They, underestimate my issue. But at that moment, I felt the relaxation of I'm not alone, and this is something also defined in medicine. So someone worked on it. Someone knows what it is. So
Yeah.
it was, answering the questions throughout all my life, actually.
Mhm.
Um, so it meant a lot. I mean,
Yeah. And like you were saying, I think a lot of doctors who don't know what Poland syndrome are will just rush the assumption that everyone is naturally asymmetrical, which isn't untrue. But I mean, there's a difference between naturally being asymmetrical and then having a medical condition. Um, talk me through that process, because you haven't been officially diagnosed, right? Or have you?
yeah. No, I haven't. I
No.
just saw
Okay.
Becca and I understood that mine is also Poland syndrome.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, trying to find it, I mean, not trying to, finding a name also means a lot because now I know that it's a defined condition rather than a coincidental event.
Mhm.
So I understand why did it happen and why did it happen to me.
Yeah.
Of course, they're not really crystal clear answers, but they're still answers.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't know how to explain myself more. Actually, I mean, it's just a relaxation, and it is just you just close one book and put aside. I mean, it is just finished.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love that you say it's almost the sense of relief and release, because I feel like if you yourself know that there is something, but there's no name for it, no one else around you is experiencing the same thing, you almost feel like something's wrong. And that isn't the case. So I think when you see someone else have it, you almost have that sense of relief, because, you think to yourself, oh, it's not just me, that this is actually a thing. I guess it's the same for people who, experience mental health conditions like
Yeah,
ADHD or depression or whatever the case is. You almost feel like you're not alone. And so I love that you say that your initial feeling is just relief and release, because I can't imagine the burden it must have felt to, carry that with you for 30 years. A little bit about me. I was very lucky in the sense that I was diagnosed as a baby, and it just happened by chance. The doctors actually accused my mom of abusing me, because, they could see that something was wrong, and my shoulder would kind of like rotate backwards. And luckily the doctor knew what Poland syndrome was. So I grew up knowing what it was, but I can't imagine what it must feel like, growing up for 30 years and not having a name to it. So I kind of want to take it back there, to when you first started seeing that you were this unicorn. You hit puberty at 12, your right side developed quickly, but your left side was kind of lagging behind or didn't develop as much. And, I'm sure your mom and your family were doing the best that they could with the information that they had. But what was that period like as a young girl who's going through puberty, which is already, I don't miss that time in my life. That's already a daunting time. To then going through puberty in a way like this where you feel like, oh no, this doesn't seem normal, something's wrong.
Well, yeah, the waiting period was incredibly challenging, of course. And of course, the mental state of puberty is different and challenging at the same time. And my mother read, she was, by the way, a nurse, and she read in our old Mayo Clinic encyclopedias that breasts could grow at different rates. So we just sat in silence and waiting for the left side to catch up,
Oh,
but it never did. I was just, hiding myself, hoping not to do it for a long time. And I wore heavy cardigans, even in the blistering Istanbul heat, to protect myself from being bullied at a school. To hide my breast, even I have my shoulders are towards inside. Actually, I still have it because I'm still like this into my breasts, and I was so terrified of looking strange that even during family gatherings at the summer houses, in the summer you just wear something really thin, and I would keep my bra on under my pajamas until very last second before I went to bed.
Wow.
I was basically reviewing inside the bed. And my parents had me in a year-round swimming lessons, which felt like a nightmare. My mom's way of protecting me was sewing padded inserts into the
Love
left
it.
side of my swimsuits. It was
Wow.
also difficult, by the way, because we were in the school, we were wearing semi-professional swimsuits. I mean, without trouser legs, but upper part is the same. And they didn't have any breast cups or pockets. It is just straight fabric that makes your nipples realize outside. Therefore, it took time to find the proper swimsuit for modification. And we finally found it, by the way. It was an, old-fashioned one. Thanks God. Yeah. And just, it was like this all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I found it incredible that your mom and you were, even going as far as putting inserts into your swimming, because I did swimming as well. That was actually what the doctor recommended I do to, strengthen your shoulders. And like you're saying, you have that shoulder that rolls forward. So like really try and strengthen that. I think I was lucky as well in the sense that I never really developed a big chest. So it, even if there was that kind of imbalance, it wasn't that noticeable unless you told someone. But I find it incredible that you and your mom went and actually put those inserts into the costume. How did that work? Were those inserts okay getting wet? Did it work for you? How was that?
There's no problem with getting wet. It takes time to dry it. So when you are, on the beach, it is difficult to wait for it's getting dry. Sometimes from outside, your right side is dry, but your left side is still wet. But I'm okay. And I currently, actually, in last 10 years or something, I'm not sewing these pads into swimsuits or bras, because it is better to change when you need. I can change it from bra to bra, swimsuit to swimsuit. And sometimes if you jump to the sea or pool, the pads going towards going outside from your swimsuit.
Yeah.
It is difficult. You need to keep it at the same time. You need to hold it not to remove because of the waves in the sea or something like that. But I'm used to it. I mean,
Yeah. Well, this is what I wanted to ask you is I feel I've been asked a lot, looking back, do you feel like you should have not cared or you should have not have tried to hide? Because I was the same as you. I wore certain clothes, to hide it. I always wore push-up bras because it gave that extra bit of padding, and so that at least it kind of looks symmetrical on both sides. In the change rooms, it was very much turn your back, quickly put your costume on, maybe 2 costumes. So, I get asked a lot, do you regret hiding it because you actually shouldn't be ashamed or scared or whatever the case is? And it's a difficult question to answer because you're so young.
yeah.
Like even as a stereotypical teenage girl, you're going to find things or insecurities about your body that you're going to try and hide. So I feel like it's a difficult question to answer. But for you, having that experience to where you are now, where again, what Poland syndrome is, you've had those experiences, do you find that you try and hide it less, or are you still in that phase where you are wearing heavy cardigans?
Thank you for listening to the PIP-UK podcast. I'm part of the PIP-UK community as my own daughter has Poland syndrome. PIP-UK provides vital support by connecting families and raising awareness, but we can only do that with your help. If you found value in these conversations, please consider supporting us by making a donation, volunteering, or even joining our committee. Every bit of support strengthens this community. Visit pip-uk.org to get involved.
Well, it is not a difficult question actually to answer, but the answer itself, I believe, won't make me a good role model in front of the young generations with Poland syndrome. So I would keeping hiding it actually, because it is difficult to change mindset of teenagers, kids, and in front of their eyes you can be strange, weird person. Even I mean, I saw a story in Twitter or X with the new name about a boy, actually, I mean around 10 years or something. His mother got mastectomy and she doesn't have one breast right now, and because of that, the kid was talking like her mother is a half woman, and it is difficult to explain a kid what it means, and they don't have that much empathy. So it is better to hide it in that age, I think. But of course, in our ages right now, in 30s, 20s, it is easier to, not to hide things, psychologically easier. And then after that point, after knowing that it's a Poland syndrome, I would prefer this.
Yeah. And I don't think, you're a bad role model at all. I think, again, everyone experiences things in their own way. And I agree with you. For me personally, if I had to go back to being a kid or being a teenager, I probably still would have hit it because, my mindset at the time was very much, I'm happy with myself. Like, I don't know anything else. You know what I mean? I've never had 2 normal boobs. But exactly like what you were saying, kids, teenagers, if someone knows something and they're not a good kid or they're going through something as well, it's just bringing like unnecessary stress, that could be avoided if it is something that you can hide. And I think that's why Poland syndrome is so interesting, and these situations are so interesting, because there isn't a right answer or a wrong answer, or a right way to do things or a wrong way to do things in terms of your own psychological process of it. Because if you look at Becca, she's the complete opposite of us. Complete opposite. And that's just how she wants to deal with it. So I don't think you're a bad role model at all. I think, there are going to be kids, especially women, young girls out there who will probably listen to this and think, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm going to have a surgery at 18 or whatever the case is. I don't really want to tell anyone about it. So these are the ways that I can cover up until then. And I don't think there's an issue in that at all.
It is good to hear. Thank you.
No, definitely. I do want to ask though, how was, that bra shopping, that whole kind of experience for you as a kid? Because I feel like, again, it's quite a turning point for any girl, going and getting their first bra, and, really starting to wear different clothes, and, and I do think a lot of women in the community will feel this one quite deeply. How was that whole process for you, where you maybe had to go and pick out different things to like your friends, or, you had to get things for a different reason? How was that process?
Mm-hmm. Actually, it was right before my primary school graduation ball, and everyone excited about the graduation ball. But for me, I mean, finding the perfect dress is a source of stress. Always, I mean, still is a stressful event. And because of the asymmetry, ready-to-wear dresses simply didn't fit my silhouette. And I'm also an overweight person, currently better, but that time when in my teenage years, it was much more obvious. And my mother had to take me a tailor to have a custom make one. And I remember that the tailor telling my mother very clearly she needs to wear a proper bra for the measurements to work. Otherwise, this dress won't sit right. And that was the catalyst. So my mom finally took me on that first shopping trip. We bought a bra, and just like with my swimsuits, we sewed a padded support into the left side. And for the first time, under layers of fabric, I looked even. But the thing is that my peers have options to wear something teenager style, colorful, soft ones, the pinky ones with color, with flowers on it and something. But my options were limited to beige, white, and black ones, and hard cuff ones. Of course, it's a must thing to sew the pad inside and to have the same texture. And so all the boring ones. And I picked beige because it didn't even have black cloths that time. I mean, I didn't have any black cloths that time. So it is a deep wound and heartbreaking. Today, I'm sure. I'm not sure about the teenage stuff, by the way, but as an adult, I have more options because in the industry has also developed in time. So there are different options, there are different colors, textures, and I can just modify something according to my needs. So it is better right now.
Yeah, I think especially with, even the standard bras where you can take the padding in and out. So you could have padding on one side, no padding on the other side. But I'm not sure if you've seen, there are companies out there that actually specifically create bras for women with asymmetrical chests, but then also as a consequence, Poland syndrome as well. So they actually create bras that specifically fit to your body's dimensions. So I think it's great that people are innovating, because that definitely wasn't a thing back in the day.
Well, I'm not sure about the Barcelona's markets, but in Turkish markets, it is not much common, actually. I even saw one brand with some modificable bras for people with breast cancer, with mastectomy,
wow.
actually. And it was, I remember, only one model available on the market, but I didn't try it, so I cannot say much about it.
Yeah. You know, talking about hiding things and bra shopping and being afraid of what people would think or say, did any of your friends know? Did you ever confide in any of your girlfriends or any of your family members, or was it just you and your mom?
My mom explained this to my father before, to get funding for my surgery, for my plastic surgery.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about my brothers. I have two elder brothers, because I didn't explain them, but I don't know if they heard from my mother or something like that. I'm not sure. But my close friends all the time know it, because they also, accompanied me during shopping, so they know my issue. Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you find their reactions were? Was it what you expected or was it quite different?
I don't remember actually, because it was a long time ago, and I just, explained this when we were kids, when we were teenagers. So it was shocking for them, I believe, um, because they also see it the first time. I mean, it is even my first time, also for them. So I don't remember actually.
Yeah, yeah. Because what I find quite interesting is whenever I speak to someone with Poland syndrome, whether it's their chest affected or hand affected,
Mhm.
oftentimes when they're actually telling people about it, maybe let's say chest affected because it's easier to hide, a lot of the people's reactions are actually quite, oh, okay.
Yeah, it is something like there is no reaction that you can show. I mean,
Yeah.
what can I do with this information? this is
Like,
this is their reaction.
yeah, we'll move
Well,
on. Cool. Thanks for letting me know. And then, so it's almost like you build it up in your head of what people will think. And then you end up telling people, well, at least friends, right? I guess friends are always going to be supportive, but you build up what this reaction and then it ends up being the complete opposite. So I find it quite interesting. So that's why I wanted to ask. But going on, you mentioned surgery. So you started noticing differences in your body when you were 12, and then when you were 15, you went to see a specialist. Talk me through that process, because I have spoken to so many people in the Poland syndrome community, hand affected, chest affected, and 9 out of 10 have had bad experiences, at least initially, with doctors or specialists. So I'm interested to hear how that journey was for you.
well, it was a complete dead end, actually. I can say that. I went to pediatric endocrinologist actually, because I was overweight, and my mom was trying to understand if there is something related to thyroiditis or something.
Mhm.
And pediatric endocrinologist, by the way, it's really rare branch of medicine in Turkey. I don't know the other countries, but there are, I don't know, at that time maybe only 5 specialists were available in Istanbul, and they're really crowded. I mean, there's a queue in front of their doors, so it is difficult to find them, get an appointment from them. And I was 15. I was 170 centimeter tall, and I was 82
Wow.
kilograms. And I was already struggling with my body image and feeling heavier than my peers. And my mom dragged me to the doctor's office. And after a glance at my breasts, the doctor told me breasts are naturally asymmetrical anyway. just get a plastic surgery when you turned 18.
Oh,
Mm, okay, it was a 1 second thing, and
wow.
just to be sure, she sent me for an ultrasound, which showed that the tissues were normal without any cysts or any pathological things there. Finally, she simply sent me to a dietitian for my weight, and it was incredibly dismissive. I mean, as if my developmental condition was just an aesthetic problem I had to live with. Yeah, well, um, it just the door on it shut the door actually on any further medical investigation. It was difficult to digest psychologically as a teenager. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Because, I'm no doctor, but there's definitely a difference between asymmetrical breasts and one breast not developing and the other one developing, So I can imagine how hard that must have been, because I think it would have been more comforting going to a doctor, even if they didn't know what was wrong, but them saying, this is an abnormality. We should probably, like you said, investigate this further or refer you to a specialist or a reconstructive surgeon who would maybe know what the condition was. But I think to just dismiss it as a thing of, oh no, this is normal, everyone has this, but actually you're looking around and it doesn't seem like everyone has this, right? This isn't normal.
Yeah.
So I can definitely imagine how that must have, that shutting of that door must have felt like, oh no, well, I guess this is just it.
And I actually heard pollen syndrome affects chests and even hands, fingers. So I heard this from your awareness campaign, actually. The doctor even checked this kind of stuff. I mean, they didn't check my chest muscles or my arm or something like this. I mean, maybe it is beyond that. It was beyond that, but we didn't know this.
Yeah. So you're just chest affected. Do you feel any kind of symptoms in your back or your shoulders? Do you get like a sore trap every now and then?
Well, it seems I have no issues with them. So I believe nothing. I'm not sure about the muscles actually. Because I'm not a muscle person, I don't understand if there's an issue there.
So I'm assuming you didn't go through with the surgery, or, was that, like you said, just an open door that just shut? You didn't investigate that any further, the reconstructive surgery?
Well, I was just, dreaming about having a reconstructive surgery when I was 18. But when I got 18, I was waiting, the action of my mom. I believe she will trigger the process. She didn't do it, and I was just waiting. I was looking for the funding from my father and trying to understand economic conditions of my family. And I was studied in another city for the undergrad studies, and then I said that, okay, let me just wait for the summer comes. So because I went back at the home and nothing happened, let me wait for the other summer. And I went to internship other summer, something like that. I just,
Life just
postponed
carries
it
on.
every time. Yeah. And, the COVID-19 happened and everything happened actually. I had, I don't know, something, maybe I felt something about it to postpone it. Maybe I scared of it. I just postpone it without any solid reason.
And is it something that you would consider getting done now, or are you at a stage where you're like, I'm happy, I don't actually really need this?
Well, actually, I'm still open to this idea, but because I'm a professional in the healthcare industry. I work in diagnostics, and diagnostics actually is a part of medical devices. So I also got some training in biomedical engineering. Now I know better about medical devices, the technologies, and the possible risks. And I started asking myself if I wanted to put a foreign matter inside me for the next 40 years or something, just for, aesthetic result. And I began to weigh the psychological benefit of symmetry against the long-term physical reality of maintaining an implant. Of course, there are happy and healthy people with implants, but these days you may see many videos online of people who have undergone explant surgeries. Or there are some groups in Facebook with people who choose to explant their implants, or you can just read their stories. And I realized that there are lots of side effects of the surgery, of the implant itself. And I would like to highlight that I'm not against implants or the technology itself, but I'm a cautious person as nature. I mean, so I carry this side as well. Currently, I don't think it is, perfectly safe. And for me, I mean, it should be, 100% safe.
Yeah.
And I mean, even having a surgery is a difficult thing because taking the anesthesia drugs lead to many different things. So I should be careful, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I absolutely love that take because I was an athlete, and so I've had 2 hip surgeries, I've had a knee surgery, I had, the breast implant for Poland syndrome. But, I've been lucky enough that the doctors and the surgeons that I've worked with have always been proponents of surgery should always be the last option. Let's try and work around it and through it as many ways that we can. Surgery should always be the last option because at the end of the day, surgery is invasive and there can be side effects, or, you're tampering with your body in some way, right? And so I definitely agree with you and I understand that completely. And I think that is something people need to be aware of when they are considering, going under the knife. Not to say that, bad things will always happen. I was very lucky with so the implant surgery that I had, I was 18 when I had it, and it was only half so it wasn't a full implant. It was like a teardrop almost.
Oh.
Because I have the bottom part, I'm just missing the top part. And then after that, they said, the second part of the surgery would be to take fat from my legs or whatever, and then kind of insert it over here to kind of fill that gap between the arm, like the armpit and the chest, which I didn't do because for me, I was of the opinion where now I could wear clothes comfortably. I was comfortable, so it was fine. But, it is, I understand exactly what you're saying about having a foreign object in your body, because I remember when I was 16, that was the first time I went to go see a surgeon because, again, I was diagnosed very young and the doctors said to my parents, try and postpone the surgery for as long as possible until she's 18 because then her body's fully developed. That's the better option. And so when I was 16, I was obviously, getting close to surgery time, and my mom took me to the surgeon, and his face and his eyes will never leave my brain. They're like ingrained. He was an older guy. He had these creepy blue eyes that just like pierced into you. And I mean, I'm a 16-year-old girl and now I need to go and get undressed in front of this old man. Like, it's already uncomfortable and daunting and not something you want to do willingly. And I will never forget, he looked at me, then went back to the desk and he said, cool. And he grabbed out 2 big implants, double D, silicone. And he was like, you need to get these on both sides. And I was already hesitant of getting surgery because I'm also quite a very, I understand the need for medicine and things like that, but I like to try and keep things as natural as possible where I can. And so having a foreign object in my body already freaked the shit out of me. And now I must go put 2 double D silicone implants in when my right side was fine, so that's why when you said it freaked me out, I'm not keen on it. I can 100% attest to that. And for anyone out there listening, my opinion would always be get a second opinion because, there's also differences between plastic surgeons and reconstructive surgeons. And like you were saying, if you don't want to get the surgery, you also don't have to. You know,
Yeah.
if you feel like you're happy and you're living a great life, you know, look at Becca. She hasn't gotten one. So yeah. But moving on to something we were touching on earlier, which I find to be quite an interesting and quite a difficult topic of discussion for women specifically, is definitely more of the intimate side, or, you know, the intimacy aspect of having Poland syndrome. I think, like we were saying earlier, you know, breasts are a big part of being a woman. You know, whether that is something we agree with or not, that's just kind of the stigma around it. That's the paradigm that we all believe. And so I think as a woman dealing with Poland syndrome, that brings its own issues, right? Of, am I less of a woman now? Am I still attractive? Am I normal? Will people find me attractive? And that's a real, you know, that's a real issue that we have to deal with. So, you know, it is obviously quite a vulnerable discussion, and I do, you know, really appreciate how openly you communicated that psychological shift with me, you know, especially going into adulthood, because I do think it's something that a lot of our listeners, our female listeners, will relate to a lot. You know, you describe feeling like half a woman and having anxiety around things like intimacy. Is that something that you're comfortable diving into a little bit more today?
Yes, I mean, today's world is brutal with social media buddies, and under these circumstances, you feel like you cannot meet the requirements of being a woman. And when I see the comments Becca receives, actually, it makes me feel both disappointed and angry, even. I mean, so around my early 20s, I was also comparing myself a lot, and I felt like I'm I'm being half a woman, and that feeling created so much anxiety around dating that eventually developed a way to give people a heads up before things got intimate. And I will explain the fears that led me to that specific briefing strategy in a moment. Yeah, well, I was terrified of the moment someone would see me for the first time. I wasn't just worried they wouldn't be find attractive. I was worried they would be shocked or even traumatized by the asymmetry, as you explained your doctor. I mean, the fear was that if they were traumatized, they might say something that would hurt me so deeply. I would want to avoid dating altogether, maybe. So I decided to take the control of the narrative by giving them a briefing while I was still safe in my clothes, like an informed consent, right? I mean, you need to
Sign here
pull it
on
there.
the dotted line.
Yes. So it's just, help me not to be vulnerable, or help me not to be hurt when I was vulnerable.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And how, you know, if you don't mind me asking, how was that experience for you? Was it similar to what we were talking about earlier with friends, where the reaction was kind of muted, or, you know, what was that like?
Well, of course, when you heads up them, it is, I mean, they start to check there immediately to see, to understand what is happening, because you're increasing the curiosity.
Yeah.
But the reactions mostly about not bad. I mean, it's not a big deal, and
Yeah.
it is not something as you exaggerated even.
Yeah.
And it was good, by the way. I mean, every time I got this reaction, I feel okay. In this relationship, I will I will be safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, And even when I'm with a partner who is incredibly supportive and loving, the first time it's a hurdle, because I'm also not feeling confident about the other parts of my body because I was overweight for all the years, and it is like a disclaimer I feel I have to carry around. But over the time, my narrative has become more humorous. It is not, serious talk right now. It is like jokes, like a creative salesperson. I'm actually selling it. It's like, there is something really rare about me.
Yeah. One of a kind.
Yes. So it works.
No,
I mean,
I love that. And I think I was actually speaking about it to my husband today or yesterday. Women have so much pressure, on them to be a certain way and to look a certain way. And, whether that's pressure put onto us by men or whether that's pressure put onto us by ourselves, I feel like a lot of the time women, we do it to ourselves as well. And it's great to hear that you have these experiences with men where you give your disclaimer or your sales pitch, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, because that shows that the relationships, obviously mean more than the intimacy, but intimacy in its own way is unique, just like all of us are unique. When people love us for who we are, not, for who we're not, kind of thing. So it's really, really reassuring and makes me so happy to hear that you've had good experiences with that. And I hope that, a lot more women with Poland syndrome can have similar experiences.
I hope so.
Yeah. I do want to know, though, what is your sales pitch or what is your disclaimer? What is the one that you have like perfected now?
Well, sometimes I ask for, I don't know if it is good to say here, but if not, just cut it, okay? If it is not appropriate for the teenagers. Some men prefers small boobs rather than larger ones, or vice versa. So I ask for it specifically, and I'm saying that I have both. Whatever you choose, I have both options.
I love that. No, I absolutely like, and what the funny thing is that my husband says the same thing to me as well, because obviously one side is natural and the other side is half implants. So he's also like, I get the best of both worlds, So I think it's so good that everyone makes light of it. I speak to a lot of people in the community who are hand affected, and I think obviously for them it's a bit more difficult because they can't hide it. And so their coping mechanism or their way of dealing with it is by making jokes. And I feel like that disarms not just everyone else around them, but it disarms us as well. It shows us, what, guys, we're alive. We have good people around us. We're capable. We're beautiful in our own ways. We're unique. There aren't many people. I think Poland syndrome happens in 1 in every 100,000 people. So I just think it's incredible because 1 in every 100,000 people, which is us, we get to do all of these amazing things in life. We get to really overcome all of these challenges and these obstacles and be so unique. But, we're different, if that makes sense. We almost have that one up on life because, I can go for a swim without a pec muscle and I can swim just as well as the next person, or whatever the case is. I can have a great relationship with someone, just as well as the next person. And I just think it's awesome. I don't know. I'm proud of it. So I'm just happy to hear that you've had good experiences with that as well, and that your sales pitch is working.
Thank you.
So we're getting to the end of the episode now, but I just want to touch on where you are now, because again, I think it's so fascinating that you had this experience, like a lot of other people in the community, where they didn't know what Poland syndrome was up until social media. Actually, one of the few good things about social media. And as much as I think people will definitely relate to that, I also want to talk a little bit about where you are now. You know, you said you are still on that journey of self-acceptance, which I think is very natural, and, you know, all humans are on that ongoing journey. But I love that you said it exactly like that, because I think there's really something honest and genuine and important in not, you know, wrapping everything up in a neat bow saying this was the most perfect experience and I'm just happy every single day about it, and, you know, I never feel insecurities around it, because that's unrealistic, you know, as well. But it's good to know that you're on that journey of self-acceptance where maybe you have less bad days than good days. So I wanted to just ask you, you know, where you are with that right now, you know, knowing what Poland syndrome is, being a part of that community, coming here and talking to me about it and sharing your story. How is that different to, you know, the 12-year-old girl that was crying in the change rooms because she couldn't get the bras that her friends were getting?
Well, self-acceptance for me isn't a finish line where I suddenly love everything I see in the mirror every single day. It is the honest process of not fighting my body anymore. Sometimes I still have moments where I completely forget about the asymmetry, and then I catch my reflection in the mirror and think, oh, right, I forgot I look like this. And it's, ever since seeing Becca's posts, I have felt empowered to dress more comfortable than before. I feel like I don't need to put in so much effort to support left side just to make them equal. And yeah, it is just everyday struggle, and your emotions fluctuate. Even, I mean, as human, we have, you know, cycles with fluctuation emotions. So not every day is same. Sometimes I feel comfortable, sometimes not. Sometimes I need to just hide it, or I just even cry again in the changing room, not to find the perfect red bra or perfect blue bra or something like this.
Yeah.
But I mean, I try to remember that this is me. I mean, and this is not the thing that define me. Actually, I have many other things. I'm more than even those. So it is ongoing journey.
Yeah. I loved what you said where, you know, this is just a part of me. It's not something that defines me. And, you know, I did my honors in psychology. And when we were learning about, you know, mental disorders or clinical mental disorders, the one thing you learn is that you are not a depressed person. You are a person with depression, or you're not, you know, an ADHD person. You're a person with ADHD, because like you were saying, there's so many different facets of who Hale is. You're not just a Poland syndrome person. You're a person with Poland syndrome, but there's so many other different factors that make you you. So I love that. I think that's such an important thing to impart on people within the community is we are first and foremost Hale and Giselle, and we have Poland syndrome, you know. So I love that. I absolutely love that. And I wish you all the best for your journey of self-acceptance. And I'm so, so happy that you came across Becca's posts and that we can have you as part of the community, and, you know, we can find support in each other and share stories and, you know, be there for the bad days and be there for the good days as well. And that makes me very happy. I think it shows that the work that Sam is doing with PIP is really working, especially because we're reaching people all around the world. So yeah, thank you so much for that. I'm so, so, so happy to have you a part of the community. Before we leave, I just want to ask you if there's anything that you want to say directly to anyone that's listening, you know, who might be a teenager, might be 25, might be 40, might know what Poland syndrome is, might not know what Poland syndrome is, you know, but for specifically those who had a similar experience to you, you know, where they didn't know that there was a name for what it was they were experiencing, you know, is there anything that you could say to them that could maybe help them through that process?
Yeah. First of all, if you're hiring these guys, please be sure that you're not alone in your journey. I was alone, but you're not. There's a huge community here. Thank you for your awareness campaign, and thank you for your activities, by the way, Giselle, and to the whole community, actually. From my perspective, I can say that there is nothing that limits you except yourself and your own beliefs. Do not allow yourself to get stuck in insecure thoughts. On social media or at school, there are many bullies who might try to convince you that you are faulty, you are incomplete. But it is the trap of the bullies, actually. Please actively remember that being different doesn't mean you are incomplete. Just look into your eyes in the mirror and say it loud every day.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. And I think, again, like I was saying earlier, I think it's so awesome that we get to be a part of this community. We're 1 in 100,000, and everything just feels so much sweeter because we've had to work harder for it. So thank you so much for sharing your story. I know this was the first time you were sharing your experience, and I think especially going into the vulnerable, discussions, I understand it takes a lot of courage, and I appreciate it so much, and I'm sure our community will appreciate it even more. And every story is, important. So from my side, just thank you so much for giving me your time and sharing your story with me and everyone listening. For all of those who are listening, please be sure to head to our Instagram and our Facebook to learn more about PIP and what we're doing and what Sam is heading up. There is a lot of support that'll be available to you. There's a lot of resources. There's a lot of people in the community who are involved in the medical profession as well. So there is really this whole community of emotional supports and medical support. So be sure to head to those pages to check us out. And if you want to come and share your story as well, send us a DM and we will gladly set that up. There's so many people in the community who have so many insightful things to talk about. So yeah, we're always keen for that. But Hale, thank you so much for joining. I wish you all the best for your adventures in Barcelona. And I'm just looking forward to seeing your journey of self-acceptance and seeing you as part of the community, and just so happy that you're here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow us and subscribe to our podcast, and follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook. See you soon.